Here we go. All right. Good morning. Well, yeah, there we are. Good morning, beloveds. Okay. If it gets noisy, both the kittens are in here. Gio is having a snack, and Dante is playing with one of the ball tracks. So, yeah, if you can hear it, that's what it is. We are doing the Contagion of Fear today. Pardon me while I'm a little overly dramatic about it. And it's long enough that I should just probably whip through the housekeeping and let's get going. Okay, so, and all the housekeeping is me reminding you that we are Creative Life Spiritual Center. The website is creativelife.org. The constant contact email, info@creativelife.org. You will email that. It'll get you one email a week. They'll let you know what's going on for the week and the month. The hot links are hot. The only reason you would get another email is if something unusual happens. It's a real person doing it. He just doesn't have time for more than that. But we do live in hurricane country. So, and it is a blind CC, which means nobody will see your email. You will not end up on anybody else's email list because of us. So that is, I think, the most important part. Briefly, I'm just going to touch on the social medias for two reasons. One, to tell you what they are. And two, we don't monetize them. We don't ask you to give them money for us. We don't want to deal with the ads any more than you do. So what we ask you to do instead is to go like, subscribe, follow based on which platform you're on, and then to engage with the individual posts. So react, comment, and share on the posts. It bumps us in the algorithms. More people see our stuff, and we think we have good tools to share. So we hope you agree. And we are Creative Life Spiritual Center or Creative Life Spark based on, as I said, which platform. And I'm the running Rev Ryan on all of the platforms that I am on. So that is that. Okay. And here we are. Yeah, I think that's everything. Okay. Let's do this. The Living the Science Mind is a collection of essays that all but two of them were pulled out of the at-home course. If you are interested in the at-home course, go to the, because it used to be in the back of Science Mind magazine. You mail off for it, they'd mail you a lesson for 48 weeks. They have bound it into 6 books. I really have got to get you guys the name of that. But if you go to the Science of Mind archives, and there's actually a number of great books that you can get. Use their Amazon link, and then they get some of the money. So, really important there. It's a great way to support the archives and get some good books. Okay. But that's what they are. My pet theory is that people had questions. And these essays were the answer. People came to the lectures, they read because these are questions that, this is the FAQ. Frequently asked questions. That's exactly what I think this is. But it's also a great book. Just like just in the middle of the day, you just need some wisdom. Open the book, and probably whatever page you land on will have something worth reading. So, all right. The article today is The Contagion of Fear. So let's see what he has to say. The Contagion of Fear. John Smith was humming a gay tune and seemed to exude great confidence in himself and the world as he boarded the streetcar. He sat down next to a man who was filled with fear and apprehension. By the time John Smith got off the car, he was in the grip of a terrible anxiety which he could not explain. It is possible for us to catch fear from others, much as we would catch a cold, for we are all unconscious, mental, emotional, and spiritual broadcasting stations. Which is a very important line, and I'm going to highlight that. This takes us back to a thought in the Bible which says that a person's enemies shall be those of their own household, for our real enemies are our fears and phobias, our doubts and uncertainties, our anxieties, and our inner conflicts. Okay. I've not heard that, but that's interesting. Not the enemies of our own household, but that interpretation. Oh yeah. Nope. Yep. Many years ago, I discovered, and of course others had discovered before me, that nervous, fretful, and agitated children who have nightmares and who cannot retain their food are affected by the inner agitation of their parents' thoughts and feelings. Let us broaden this field and say that the whole world is filled with the thoughts of people who live in it, and that perhaps we are all more or less subject to the passing emotions of the race mind. A leading psychiatrist, a leading psychiatrist, you'd think I could say that word, but apparently not. Okay. A leading psychiatrist has told us that fear can render a person completely unconscious as far as their brain is concerned. The psychiatrist tells us that it paralyzes the memory, and if a person is afraid they will forget something, they are likely to do so. We know that in cases of amnesia, people are so frightened by some unconscious thought that they even forget their own names and who they are and where they come from. Fear produces a mysterious chemical which is released into the blood, but this chemical disappears when the anxiety is over. Okay. We all have our little fears and anxieties, and we all wish to get over them. The healing of fear and anxiety is not to be found in any drug or physical manipulation. The cure is to be found only within our own minds. Where fear is the disease, we have to be our own doctors. Okay, I'm going to disagree with him simply from this. I'm not completely disagree with him, okay? But if your brain chemistry is off and it is creating anxiety, then yes, there are absolutely medications that can help. And sometimes you need to take those medications to balance out your brain chemistry and then see if you, and I know this because I spent 2 years on an antidepressant. Okay. So do not at any time think that you are doing wrong when you are taking a medication for anxiety, depression, any of that. And take it for as long as you need to. So this is one of those times where Ernest is, because he'll go back later and say, no. You know what? If you need the pill, take the pill. But treatment and meditation makes a great addendum to it. So I'm going to disagree with him right there. Okay. Because yes, if your brain chemistry is off, there are medications that can help, and please take them. Okay. All right. I'm just going to disagree with him vehemently right there. But treatment will go a long way to helping too, because I have done that too. It was treatment that helped me with my anxiety of flying. So, all right. The Bible tells us that perfect love casts out fear, and that where love is, fear cannot remain. We can apply this principle of faith and confidence to ourselves as individuals, to our families as the first unit we deal with, and to all the people we contact in the everyday walks of life. Did you ever notice that the effect of just being with a person who is calm and poised and unafraid? We all know those people. How different you feel, how buoyed up and confident you become. Why should not each one of us become a broadcasting station for faith? The world is too largely governed by fear. We are afraid of this and that and something else. We are afraid of what happened and what is happening and what we think is going to happen. At which point I will point out to you that Albert Einstein says that worry is the misuse of imagination. Okay? And we are really good worriers. If fear is contagious and does in some mysterious way secrete a germ which acts negatively in the physical body, I think it is not too much to say that it also secretes some kind of mental germ in the whole race mind, which affects everyone with a sense of confusion, uncertainty, and anxiety. I don't know about his mental germ, but okay, we're going to go with it, right? There is no doubt that this is true, and we should do something about it. Not that we have to become heroic figures who consider themselves liberators of humanity, for we are probably not in a position to do this. What I mean is that each one of us should analyze their own thinking to determine what is wrong and replace every fear with confidence, with faith and confidence. Great. But where are we going to get this faith and confidence? Certainly not out of the weakness of our previous experience, and perhaps not out of the thoughts that we had yesterday, those thoughts that were filled with anxiety. It seems to me that we would have to begin all over again, and we must find some reason for having a faith that is stronger than all our fears. So far, the world has never found this reason outside of what we call religious or spiritual ideas. And by this, I mean a direct faith in God. There is nothing for God to be afraid of. And if we can and do tune into the thoughts of others, and if they affect us, as they most certainly do, why should we not learn to tune into the mind of God, which is free from fear and doubt? I have this situation at work where the owner of the store that I work in, she's a negative Nelly. And so frequently it's a battle between her faith and my faith, and her faith in all of the bad things that will happen and my faith in all of the good things that will happen. And it is, so every day I go in there, you know, and some days I just have to put my armor on and not let her affect me. And most days I'm successful because I'm pretty well into this, doing this, you know, like I'm tuning into the mind of God, knowing that it's all going to be okay. But some days she gets to me, and those are the days that I am weak. So, I know this. I know this firsthand. So, this is what is meant by prayer and meditation. For in the act of prayer and meditation, we commune with the invisible spirit. We draw its strength, its peace, and its serenity into our own souls. And as a result of this, we become strong and self-reliant because we have built up a confidence in life, a faith, and a conviction which wards off all fear. Just as the germ of physical disease is less liable to infect a strong body, so the germ of mental fear is resisted by a whole and happy mind. It would be interesting if someday we should read a headline in the daily newspaper which said, a germ of fear is now operating in a certain locality or infecting a whole community. And it would be interesting if the same article were to tell us that a group of people were working to counteract this fear germ by broadcasting faith. Which actually, there are people who get together and meditate, and a lot of the times they will pick a place in the world that's messy and meditate peace for that place. So there are people doing this. There are already people doing this. It's just not in the newspaper very much. Okay. And after a while, we would pick up another newspaper, which would have a headline reading, "We are now inoculated with faith, and the fear germ has disappeared." Well, perhaps this sounds a little far-fetched today. No, like I said, there are people doing this. But I have complete confidence that a time will come when we shall see such headlines in the newspapers. The only problem is there aren't very many newspapers left. Okay. The quickest and most effective method to get rid of fear is to get quiet and lift up the whole thought in confidence and faith to something bigger than we are. Yep. Give it to God. Give it to God. Give it to the Spirit. Give it to the divine. Whatever word you want to use there. It is like going from a cold, dark room into sunshine and just sitting there, letting the rays of the sun penetrate the whole body with warmth and color until the darkness and dampness are gone. So it is with the life of prayer and faith, of affirmative meditation, and of communion with that divine spirit which is closer to us than our very breath. Let us not forget that if fear is contagious, faith is doubly so. How wonderful it is to realize that we can so influence our environment that everyone who steps into it will be benefited. If this is what we are doing, the very stars in their courses will conspire to aid us. Okay. And we may be certain of something else. There is at the center of our being a strong fortress of faith, placed there by a power greater than we are, by an intelligence that knows everything and forevermore held in place by a divine presence, which is God in us. It is to this indwelling God that we must turn. So how would it be if we worked out a method for doing this? To begin with, you might follow a few simple rules. First of all, if you were filled with fears, do not harbor them as a great secret in your life, but find some close friend or confidant to whom you may unburden your whole soul. This will release the tension which your fears have built up in your body. Just talk with a calm, confident person who can point out the reason why you need not entertain those fears is a great relief. That is one of the things that it's so important to have those people in your life that you can go to and say, hey, I got something. Can you? Will you? And you got to check, because you don't want to dump a whole bunch of shit on somebody. A whole bunch of stuff on somebody who doesn't have the bandwidth to deal with it. You always want to make sure, hey, can I unburden to you? And if they say yes, then great, do it. And if they say, you know what, maybe not, not right now. I got stuff going on. Then you go find somebody else. Always ask, but make sure you do, because one of the best things about it is sometimes you just need to hear it out loud to kill it. And that is the value of talking about things. And if you're talking to somebody, they can look at you and go, you know what? They can point out where it's not as bad as you think it is, or maybe they can point out solutions. There's a code that we use. Do you need a blanket or a sword? Do you just need to be heard, or are you looking for solutions? So that's something that's, but and make sure that you have more than one. Because like I said, some days the person that you would normally go to doesn't have the bandwidth for it. So you got to have a backup. And you got to make sure that you are that for the person that does that for you too. Because, their life, they're going to have messy points in their life too. So make sure that you are there for them as much as they are there for you. This is, however, but a temporary thing. For next, you must learn to face the fears. You should not be afraid to analyze them, and you should explain to yourself why you know there is nothing to be afraid of. Whenever you find yourself brooding over some fear or entertaining some anxiety, begin at once to do something about it. Again, Albert Einstein says worry is a misuse of imagination. If you can imagine the doom and gloom, why not imagine the bright sunshine? And the next thing to do is convince yourself that you would not be here were there not a power greater than you are that put you here, and learn to have confidence in this power. Never be afraid to say to this power and this divine presence, I now lay down my fears, all my fears and doubts and anxieties. I pass them back into the great and perfect life, which I know I am a part. Confess your fears to yourself before the power, and then reach just a little higher in faith than you were in fear, and you will discover a miracle is taking place. Fears will begin to recede until they finally appear as a speck on the horizon of your mind. And then they seem to walk over the horizon and disappear entirely, like darkness running away from the light. This is not as difficult as it sounds if you just become as a little child. We all need to resurrect this little child within us, who unfortunately has been so buried in our unhappy experiences that we have almost forgotten that that child was ever there. But we have not quite forgotten, have we? We all need to resurrect the confidence in life which we had in our youth. To recapture this dream of youth is the wisest and most intelligent thing any person can do. Fear has brought confusion. Faith will give birth to confidence. Anxiety has brought days filled with conflict and nights full of dread. Faith alone can heal this confusion and drive from our minds all thoughts of fear and dissipate all anxieties. Love alone can bring harmony into our lives. Say this to yourself. Okay, so he's about to do I guess a treatment, a meditation, what have you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause for just a minute and say, and just wrap this up, okay? Remind you to have a great day, wondrous day, fantastic day, magical day, enchanted day, wonderful day, awesome day, an amazing day, okay? Take care of yourself day, do what you got to do day. You got this day, a good day. And if that's too much pressure, simply have a day, all right? Simply have a day. You are enough just as you are, all right? I'm going to remind you that you are a beloved expression of the divine. Spirit in motion, God in action, a brilliant light, a divine spark. Spirit in motion, God in action, a beautiful masterpiece, and a work in progress at the same time. And as Reverend Jesse likes to call us, you are a godling. All right. Remind you to get to know who the Spirit knows you to be, because the Spirit knows you to be good, and from there, anything is possible. Okay. Now, last things, and then I'm going to go back and do this because I want to end on this treatment. Reverend David will be on around 5 p.m. with you, and I will be back with you around 9-ish tomorrow. Okay. So now we are going to end with Ernest Holmes' treatment on the contagion of fear, about how to get rid of fear. I lay all my fear aside, and in confidence and complete faith, I turn to the one perfect divine presence, knowing that the light of truth shines upon my path, even as divine love guides me into the secret place of the Most High, where I dwell under the shadow of the Almighty. I know that there is nothing to be afraid of in God's world. Fear cannot operate in me, nor can it go forth from me. At the very center of my being, there is complete confidence, complete faith. At the very center of my being, there is a consciousness of the protection of divine love, the guidance of divine wisdom, and the strength of divine power. And so I turn in thought to the whole world and know that my word is bringing light and life and a feeling of strength and confidence to everyone. I turn in thought to the leaders of the world everywhere and know that love and intelligent guidance is directing their thoughts and actions. I turn in thought to all the nations of the earth and awaken in them the realization that there is good enough to go around, that there is a divine government under which they all may be protected from fear of each other. I turn in thought to the great creative imagination of the human race and assure it that there is a feeling and a presence at the center of everything, waiting to make itself known. And I turn to the great God who knows all things and who can do all things and say, lead, kindly light amid the encircling gloom. Lead thou me on. And so it is.